Welcome to the CabSat TV studio right here at the Dubai World Trade Center. And I am very happy to have in the studio with me now Glenn Gainor from Sony Pictures Entertainment. Welcome to the studio, Glenn.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
And thank you for some great movies as well. I know that's not why you're here today, but thank you for all of those as well. You were taking part in the Content Congress that was held today about filmmaking and, is it ready for HDR? Explain to me and recap what happened in that.
Today we spoke about capturing in 4K, capturing what's called 4K RAW as well, which gives you all the data that you need to tell your story with, and then making sure you're ready for future marketplaces and technology such as HDR, which is high dynamic range.
Now explain 4K RAW to me. What's the old world equivalent of that?
The critical thing about when you capture any kind of content is to make sure that all the data is there and that you can continue to manipulate it throughout the post-production process. So you're not baking in a look, you're grabbing all the metadata and then you're allowing it to be interpreted the way the filmmakers want it to be interpreted. So if you're in a location and you say, I want a certain tone to it, a certain color palette, you then apply that on set with a lookup table cart. And then you say, okay, I want sort of a magenta look or whatever, and you don't bake it in, you send the information raw to the post-production facility and they apply the look. So you're not damaging the look at all, you're just suggesting it at the moment and then you're exploring with it later.
So in layman's terms, that's like a digital negative, I guess, where we can keep going back to that same data and changing the look in the future?
You can. However, we like to employ what's called ACES, the Academy Color Encoding System, and that allows the filmmaker to say, here is my look I intend to create on set. The editor has that information. The editor can kick out more metadata to visual effects artists around the world. They can understand the look that was intended on set. They can apply the visual effects to that look and then put it all back together. And then for future generations, archivists can look and say, here's what they intended the film to look like, and then they can continually upgrade it for whatever technology is about to come our way.
So you're a member of the Academy, of course. Give us a background then to the Academy Color Encoding System.
It really was the Academy's way to look at things and say, we need to make sure that we can be as accurate with the portrayal of what the filmmakers intended the film to look like for future generations. And so they came up with a color coding and system that allows filmmakers to say, this is my intended look. It's like going back to a classic film such as Lawrence of Arabia, which was restored in 4K, and bringing it back to its glorious original intent.
Okay, some good movies which we're going to be looking at over again in fantastic quality. So the future for that is great. Now this region, of course, Glenn, traditionally very early adopters for technology, for 4K and for HDR. Do you think that's going to be the same for them?
I think so. This region is definitely poised for success with great new technology. The 4K cameras are here in the region. They can be the Sony f55, they can be an A65 from Alexa. They can even be a consumer-based camera. I, for instance, was showing footage I captured on the Sony a7S Mark II in internal 4K. The only difference is that is 420 4K, and some of the bigger motion pictures is 444 4K. Now that's a lot of numbers there, but basically we're just talking about high dynamic range, we're talking about latitude, and we're talking about the ability to capture as much data as we possibly can as filmmakers, so we always have that data.
And this fantastic technology, which is now being employed more and more, and really is groundbreaking. I know that you mentioned in Congress, it all ultimately falls back to one important thing.
It comes to story, yeah. Everything around us is to help someone tell a great story, whether it's the camera, whether it's the lighting, color timing, it's the intent of the artist, it is the paintbrush of the artist. And we have so many tools to tell a very unique story, from the glass that the lens employs to the chip behind the camera.
Now, key trends for the next 3 to 5 years, so every year seems to be an improvement. So your crystal ball and looking to the future, what do you think the key trends are?
It's going to be continuing the progress with the home entertainment, I believe. 4K is all around us, both in movie theaters and at the home. You're going to see more high dynamic range television screens coming to us. HDR is going to give us truer blacks, truer whites, so that we can really kind of see, again, that sort of dynamic range, HDR, right? That's why they call it that, so that our stories will continue to look as great as they can.
You know, I think the future is going to be fantastic when we get to the stage that you can sit at home, watch your own HDR screen and see it exactly the way movie makers like you intended it to be seen.
That's exactly it. It really is. It's making sure that we're consistently showing the same kind of vision, the vision of what the filmmaker wanted.
Glenn, thank you for your insight into everything that we've spoken about today, and thank you for your time today.
My pleasure, it's great
Thank
being
you,
here.
Glenn. And now for the very latest on everything from Content Congress over the last couple of days, and indeed everything to do with CabSat, head now online to cabsat.com.